What's that rainbow doing over the top of that model train layout? Well, you're about to find out. Hi, this is Burr Stewart, and welcome to part 126 of my continuing series of operations and construction and rail fanning videos. Today we have an amazing variety of things to watch. We have lots of rail fanning as usual. We're going to be weathering some couplers, cleaning up the mess that we left on the track afterwards. We're going to look at a live steam engine, and there are many other things, including our very first application of static grass to the layout. So let's get started. As you saw, the Rainbow Bridge was a reverse loop that we had going on, and a friend suggested we get out of the way. So we did, but we didn't put guardrails on it, and that turned out to be quite a problem because we were so afraid that locomotives would fall off the bridge right when it was about this spot here in the middle of the aisle. So Brian Elchlepp took matters into his own hands and got a couple 6-foot pieces of plexiglass and some screws and spacers, and he put this thing in.
I don't know why I did that.
And in this shot here, we're just looking to see if it clears, and it wasn't quite right.
Plenty of room on this side.
So they came back and worked on it a little bit more.
A little close over here.
Even look at that caboose.
Yeah, you think? Might have to get longer standoffs.
No. It's just back. Oh, you need another standoff right in the middle of the curve.
Yeah. Oh, just as. Oh, okay. Yeah. I have a box of them right over there.
And here too.
Yeah.
See, it's bending.
Can you grab that plastic?
And now this is the final demonstration of it. Well, Brian is here to demonstrate his latest accomplishment, which was finally, after 15 years, we've got some plexiglass guardrails on the famous Rainbow Bridge.
Are we ready?
Yep.
Let's give it a shot.
You saw this in a short I posted recently. I wanted you to be able to see the full width view of it.
Victory or death?
That's right. That's right. It doesn't work. Both of these are Brian's engines that he's meticulously reworked and installed beautiful sound in, as you can hear. Real nice clearance there.
You got the clearance?
And that's a 3D printed caboose. Beautiful model. We're using this long flat car as a maximum clearance test vehicle. And it seems to have worked fine. Yeah, it's really good.
How about that?
Thumbs up. Thumbs up is right. It's about time we did that. A few minutes later, Brian was running his engines back down to Delta Yard, and I just couldn't get over how beautiful they were, so I turned the camera back on. Look at that. Coming out of that little tunnel, we head down grade all the way towards the yard on the other side of the peninsula. Isn't that a fun shot? That trestle on the left I built when I was 14 years old, and I'm still in operation. Now, a little bit later, he was playing around with 3 other engines, and I happened to see that and thought, yeah, I got to take a picture of that too. Wow, isn't that cool? Now, Brian likes taking still photos of his rolling stock, so he brought that back out on the trestle. Give me a couple horn blasts and do it. While Aidan and I were still enjoying running this 5-unit set of F units. Yes, indeed. Now, you've seen this before if you've watched my channel, these units, but this is a different train that we're pulling out of Inner Bay, so I thought you'd enjoy seeing another train. Now there's Brian pulling his engines out onto the steel trestle so he can take a still photo. And in a minute, I'm going to show you a picture he took of those engines that has me in the background taking a picture of these F units. Hilarious. See that? And what a beautiful photo. I love the stereo sound of these engines. I hope you can hear it on whatever device you're watching this on. The F-unit heaven, that's what I calls it. Now in a minute you should start to hear the squealer. There it is. Now we'll take a minute to run along this train so you can see the various cars in there. I'm not sure why some of the flat cars are loaded and some are empty. It has to do with the waybills. And those, of course, are the Boeing parts cars, sometimes called tool cars, and a variety of other Northwest freight. That coal is coming down from the coal mine up in Skykomish to some of our factories. That steam engine is the ringtone I have on my cell phone. Of course I would have a train sound on my cell phone, right? Too funny. And the caboose, the red caboose, is a SP&S caboose that Ed Austin imported a couple of years ago. Okay. Which is very nice. I think we should go take a closer look at that.
I got something for you. This is Jennifer laying like that. What's that?
Yeah, how about that? Very nice. Now this grass is just Woodland Scenic's turf on the latex brown paint, but a little bit on this video we're going to show you how we finally got started using static grass. And so we'll come along this area and put in some static grass in the next few weeks or months, and we'll show you how that improves it. And I think it looks pretty good already, but you'll see what I mean. Now, as we saw up on the steel trestle, Brian had these engines, and I just wanted you to be able to look at them up close and listen to the sound. Very nice. Meanwhile, Dave was weathering a couple of his new locomotives. I'll let him tell you about it.
So this is an Athearn Genesis SD75M, which came primed for grime, so it was factory faded. Did a wash of light gray, and then I did a wash of light rust, and then I used some Pan Pastels on the truck side frames and on the roof mainly to darken it up a little bit. There's two different colors of Pan Pastels.
Nice.
So I was pretty happy with the way it came out. This is probably my most aggressive weathering of a locomotive yet. So it's I'm not an expert at this, but it's been a good, fun little project.
Yeah, thank you.
This engine is a Athearn Genesis SD60M Triclops. Of course, in BN green, but overpainted for BNSF after the merger. It's lightly weathered with some Pan Pastels. And I'm about to weather the couplers with some, red iron oxide Pan Pastels here.
All right. The inset shows you which Pan Pastel we were using. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, that's real easy.
When I do this, I do it over the workbench so I don't dribble Pan Pastel down on the track. That's kind of a problem. Might as well do that one while you're at it.
Yeah, might as well do this one. Of course, these are KD couplers, number 5s, that I added. Took off the original couplers that came with the Athearn engines and put KDs on.
I was having too much fun. Yeah, that really does look better. Videotaping this to
Is it just a little bit of a
tell him to stop
rusty tint?
dumping red oxide Pan Pastel all over the track. So we'll come back and clean that up in a minute.
And I'm told that the powdered Pan Pastels don't tend to gum up the couplers, unlike paint. If paint can gum up the couplers if you're not careful enough.
Yep. Well, afterwards I came back with a brush and I forgot the fact that Pan Pastels really are meant to be brushed on, so that's not a good way to get rid of them. I tried, but you can see that didn't work. It worked a little bit. But then I stopped and I thought, wait, there's got to be a better way. So I got out the vacuum cleaner. That didn't work when it had been brushed, but this other clump here, I hadn't brushed it, and it came up pretty well with the vacuum cleaner. Not entirely. Watch this. See? Took it completely off because I hadn't brushed it on the track. It was just loose Pan Pastel. Well, that's something to remember. If you want to get rid of it, don't use a brush. But I'm still left with these stains. So I thought, all right, I'll try some double stick tape. And that didn't work at all. But, you got to try things. No. No, we still have a problem. Took a little bit off, but not much. So I got out some water, wetted water, and a brush, and I thought, okay, maybe I can wash it off with water. And this is a little bit iffy because the ballast is glued down with water-based PVA, so I wasn't really sure I wouldn't start bringing the ballast up off its glue, but I think it worked a lot better. See, that's starting to remove it. Not totally, but lesson learned. Don't weather your couplers over the track. Do it over the workbench. A little better. I came over it again. One more time. A little heavier water to see if I couldn't get rid of it. I think that was an improvement when I put a heavier layer of water. Yeah, there we go. We got one more little spot here we're not too happy about. Get the water on there. So I guess we're calling that good enough. And it still does make a slight amount of sense that the main line with the dark streak in it would be a little different to look at than the little bit of rusted track that's on the siding. Yeah, you see it's coming off. It takes a while, but we can live with it. There's the whole big picture. No long-term problem. A little bit of rust color, but it'll do. Speaking of oil dripping on the tracks, Bob Wickham brought over his stationary steam engine, and when I wasn't worrying about the 2 pounds of boiler pressure exploding all over the house, we enjoyed watching these pistons and cylinders move up and down under 2 pounds of steam pressure. But I was amazed by that little tank with a red dot on top. That's the oil pump, and it's putting oil into all the lubrication points, and of course the oil was dripping out. You can just imagine what it was like when the steam engine era, all that oil flying all over the place. Anyway, there you see the burner on the right, the boiler in the middle, and the steam engine on the left. Cool.
How cute.
So you've seen this in a different video that I did, a short video, but again, it looks better with a long form horizontal, I think. Scott was running his Sacramento Northern GE 44 tonner, and there was one car over in the Interbay yard that needed to be moved to Bayside yard in Everett, so he just pulled it over there. And this is an operations video, and I guess you could call this an operation. I joked that it was the shortest train in the world. Not really a train, but it really is a train. That's a whole subject we can get into of what's the actual definition of a train. Nice that he blew for that grade crossing, right? This is the Bayside yard, and any excuse to run a train is a good excuse, right? Here he's pulled into the north end of the yard with that car, and he needs to back it into the yard and hook it up to some other cars. That's a nice running engine and caboose. And Scott was all set to go, but he had forgotten to flip that switch. So I had to remind him. You want to flip this switch too?
I guess so. It's a good idea.
Yeah, good idea.
Throwing back!
For some reason, that bulkhead flat was rolling over towards the ladder. I don't know why. And that white tank car you recognize as the one that looks just like the sheep over in the Delta yard. That was in a previous video. And that bromine tank car we fixed the other day, so it's no longer leaning to the side. You're getting to know all the cars on this railroad if you watch this channel. And we could be coming in for a bang here, and then a stretch test. Here we go. Bang!
There's your bang.
Now he's going to do a stretch test. Well, there you have it, the shortest train in the world. And meanwhile, I wanted to show you that we finally used static grass on the scenery on this layout. It's taken us a long time. We've been procrastinating, but once you get started, you'll love it. And that looks pretty good. This is after the glue had dried. The first shot there was before it dried. And you see we have some other areas where we applied it. This is after it was applied, but before I vacuumed it up. So you can't really tell how good it's going to look yet, but I'll show you that here in a second. Now, don't ask me what the horses are doing in the dump truck, but that's a cute little scene anyway, even if it doesn't make any sense. And of course, this is the transition from the land to the seawall. So after we applied the static grass, we vacuumed up the remainder after it had dried for a day or so. You see it just took a little bit, but mostly the glue held the static grass in place. And of course we took it off the track, and I'm pretty pleased with that, and so is this rabbit. So then we moved over to the road in Mukilteo, and we removed the excess static grass from the road and from the grass itself. We used a blend of 2, 4, and 6 millimeter length grasses in some different colors. But you saw from that picture of the rabbit, it was pretty close to a natural grass color. See how you really do have to vacuum up the excess. There's probably a lot of skill involved in applying this, and this was just our very first ever time. It looks good though, right? Real good. In fact, it looks better than the road now. I'm going to have to go back and put more gravel on that road. Yep, this is working fine. Just suck it up. I'll speed up the video so you don't have to watch every single moment of this fascinating vacuuming process. Yeah, I'll have to come back and work on that road some more. But that looks good. The rabbit still likes it. It's funny, now that we have really good static grass, I'm noticing all kinds of little tiny imperfections in the scene that we should fix. Like the edge of the scenery on the fascia board there. There's a little gap. I better do something about that. Yep, that is a big improvement. That grass looks quite realistic. We need probably some more bushes. And our rabbit likes it too. So this has been a video full of construction and rail fanning. I hope you've enjoyed both. This is the Rainbow Bridge, how it hinges up so that you can walk down the aisle there and get all the way over to the cement plant, which, as you see, is under construction with all that glue and things down there. Pay no attention to that Milwaukee freight that's parked there on the curve. We'll run that some other day. And for now, this is Burr Stewart wishing you much fun with trains. You gonna bring it around, or are you just gonna park it?
I'm about to park it.